I'm just gonna take a little sliver for myself. Oh, wow, see? I think it looks pretty good. Here's chocolate cake. Let me see here. I like it. It's still moist, it's not dried out. There's enough frosting without it being overpowering with frosting. Hi, I'm back, Amy Roloff, and I'm in my little kitchen. Today I wanted to bake a chocolate cake. This recipe, I took a combination of several, and I just wanted to see what the differences were between all these different chocolate cake recipes. But one of the recipes used mayo, and so I wanted to really give that a try and see, you know, how rich and smooth the mayo is, but how rich it enhances and makes the chocolate cake. With this chocolate cake, we use cocoa powder, and there's about a cup and a half here. This also uses coffee, and I've made cupcakes using coffee, and I tell you, it does something to the cake. It is so good. So we're gonna add a little coffee here. I've got about 2.25 cups of sugar. I've got 3 cups of all-purpose flour. This particular flour that I use is pastry flour. And then I'm using a cup and a half, and these are dark chocolate or bittersweet chocolate chips. And then 4 eggs, and I think I need some butter along the way. So hopefully I'll get that going. So why don't we get started? Like I said, this chocolate cake recipe, I did not come up entirely on my own. Baking recipes are a little more trickier for me. But I did look at several recipes, and I kind of added, you know, different flavors or substituted, or instead of milk chocolate chips, I use a different kind of chocolate chips. The cocoa powder, I use a special dark. I don't know, it's just that rich chocolate flavoring. I just love it. So anyway, and because I do not have this recipe memorized, I'm gonna look on the directions. So anyway, so let's do the hot coffee. So 1 cup of cocoa powder, and we're gonna whisk that together with 1.5 cups of hot, 1.5 cups of hot brewed coffee. And I am so glad it was the lid that popped and not the coffee all over the place. Anyway, we're gonna whisk this up so the cocoa powder is all dissolved. Oh man, I tell you, I cannot wait for this. Just the flavors of it. I don't know, I think there's a little Southern in me too, a little bit, because I like desserts. I like that little ending to every meal. Like I've said before, it can be like a little Hershey's, you know, like a little kiss candy. Or it can be a big slice of chocolate cake with either whipped cream or vanilla ice cream over it. I mean, I don't know. Every meal to me when you gather has to have a sweet ending to it. Okay, what do we do next? I've already greased my pans, so let's do the flour. Like I said, I've got 3 cups of flour. I used pastry flour. It didn't call for cake flour, and I've debated, you know, what's the difference between regular flour and cake flour. I think cake flour has a little more protein, but I'll verify that for you in the recipe or on amyroloffslittlekitchen.com. So go to the website. Anyway, let's see. Yes, 3 cups of all-purpose flour. So we got the flour here. We're gonna add a little baking powder, 1 teaspoon. And we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 2.5 teaspoons of baking soda. You know what, let me clarify that. 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of baking soda. That goes in here. Then we're gonna add some salt, about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We're just gonna stir that, get that all mixed in. Let's get the sugar in our mixer. The sugar, like I said, was 2.5 cups. And then 4 eggs. 4 eggs. 4 eggs at room temperature. It is best, that's why this hot brewed coffee and cocoa powder mix, we're gonna kind of let it rest and cool down to room temperature. I'm gonna add 2 in, get that going, and start blending it, and then add 2 more. So after that, we will beat in the mayo. We gotta beat this till it's gonna turn it up a little bit. The sugar and the eggs till it's nice and fluffy. This cake is gonna be rich. I love how when you bake, you know, you go from one thing like an egg mixed with flour and a liquid, and look at what it turns into, deliciousness. I love the process of all of this. So usually it's about, I'd have to say about 2 minutes, 3 minutes for it to take. Well, wait, you gotta be patient when you bake. Okay, so I've got the sugar and the eggs. There it is. I think it's turning light and fluffy, so I'm gonna turn this down a little bit because we're gonna add in our mayo and vanilla. Okay, so we're gonna slowly add in our mayo. Who would ever thought mayo in a cake? And to that, we are going to add in a teaspoon and a half of vanilla. Vanilla, I mean baking, you gotta have vanilla. Because the other part of the vanilla is probably gonna be used for the buttercream chocolate frosting. That's gonna be good. Okay, we're gonna alternately add the flour with the coffee and the cocoa mixture. We're gonna alternate. So let's see, here's 1. Okay, this is gonna be hard with a spoon. And this way, I think everything, this is 3. It gives everything a chance to mix in together without pouring it and dumping it in all at one time. Okay, that's 3. Okay, we got chocolate all over the place. And the last addition will be, I'm so excited to try this using mayo. Chris isn't a fan of chocolate, which, oh my gosh, how can you not be a fan of chocolate? So I think I'm gonna share this cake with my kids. Give a quarter of it, 1/4 to Zach and Tori, hopefully another quarter to Jer and Oz, and another quarter to Jacob and Isabel. And if my daughter was here, I'd give her the last quarter, but the last quarter may be for me, I don't know. I've got 2 cake pans. If you want to use smaller ones, you can make a triple layer cake, but I just want to do 2. I've already prepped them, so I greased them and dusted them off with flour. Hopefully I will get this evenly. Let's get my other one over here. And I don't know, I want to make sure I get all this stuff. I mean, look I can't leave that all in there. Can I? No way. Let's get a little more in this one. Because you don't want a lopsided layer cake, so I want to really try and make sure I equal the batter out evenly. And the other thing I do too is I just slightly bang them. I think for me, it kind of, you know, you get all those air pockets out, so you don't have a bunch of air holes in your cake. These are ready to be put in the oven. And I hope they turn out. So you put that in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. So I'll be back and let's see how it turns out. Hey, hi everyone. Well, Amy Roloff in Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen. I am getting ready to make the frosting for the chocolate cake, and the chocolate cake is over here cooling down, and hopefully I'll frost it up and show y'all. So what I have is 3/4 cup of unsalted butter, 2 cups of powdered sugar, with about a 1/4 teaspoon or so of salt. And then in here, I did, I think, 1 cup of, I did dark chocolate chips or bittersweet chocolate chips. And I just put a little dab of corn syrup in and a little bit of cream because that kind of helps, you know, make the chocolate chips melt. So that is gonna go into the frosting too. So let's get going here. This is my new hand mixer. I'm not quite sure how it works. Well, I should know, but you know, whenever you get a new piece of equipment, it's always tricky. So we're just gonna mix this up till the butter gets incorporated with the powdered sugar and it gets all creamy. And I am going to mix in 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla, this wonderful thing, vanilla. There we go. Gotta love that vanilla. There we go. Takes a moment to get back down to where it's supposed to be. Let's add this. Okay, let's just get the rest of this chocolate off the spoon. Wow, this is gonna be thick frosting. I'm gonna add in a little more cream and then we're gonna add in the rest of the powdered sugar. Whipping cream, so about a tablespoon, just a little over a tablespoon. In fact, I'm gonna use this spoon that I did the chocolate in and just kind of scoop it in here. Just so the powdered sugar doesn't go flying all over the place. And I'm gonna go ahead and add in just a little more cream because I think the frosting is just a little bit too stiff for me. Okay, I am going to make sure that the cake is cool, get it all prepped, and then we'll go ahead and frost it. Okay, well, I've started frosting the cake. And this is what the frosting looked like, and it's a great color. And so what I did here is I debated. Sometimes I have used the flat part of the cake, you know, where it sits in the pan, and tipped it over so that is facing up, and then just shaved off the top because it's got that little mound on it. But this time I just, you know, put the cake on the flat side on this dish. And then I just shimmied off the top of it so it's a little more flat. So as I put on the second layer, and that way the cake can balance itself a little better. Anyway, so I just frosted this part. Here's the second half. Let's see, get that on right. Looks like I'm gonna have some gaps to fill in, but that'll be okay. Okay, let's start frosting. Isn't it look like a luscious hamburger? Okay, just gonna go around. Well, I'm gonna try and make this look as pretty as possible. I think in the recipe that you'll find this chocolate cake, I'm gonna probably have you make a little bit more frosting, because I just barely have enough. Okay, there you go. I am going to kind of just clean it up a little bit and I'll show you the end result. So this is chocolate cake with mayo. Oh, I had a little piece. Because when I shaved off the top of it, I had a little piece, so. I mean, it's moist. I think it tastes good, so good. I'm looking forward to sharing this recipe with you. Hi everyone, well, it's me again, and this is the chocolate cake. It's all done, it's the next day, I've got my dishes clean, so what better way maybe to start the morning than having a little slice of chocolate cake. So let's see how it came out. And remember, I'm gonna share, because Chris doesn't like chocolate cake, and I know, unbelievable, right? So I'm gonna share a 1/4 of the cake with each of my kids. So let me see if I can do this. Okay, there we go. I'm just gonna take a little sliver for myself. Wow, look at that. See? I think it looks pretty good. Oops, I forgot to get a fork. And then I've got my coffee. Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen Coffee, e-gather. And that's what I'll be doing with my kids, e-gathering. I'm just gonna drop it off at their house. I don't really go into their house, you know, until we're over this. So I just stand outside the front door and say, here you go. Here's chocolate cake. Let me see here. I like it. It's still moist, it's not dried out. There's enough frosting without it being overpowering with frosting. I hope you make it. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think. But all the recipes that I've done are over at amyroloffslittlekitchen.com. And have a great day. Enjoy.